John McCAIN. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Fine, John. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks once again for joining the show. Just your initial thoughts on President Barack Obama's speech. We've been taking phone calls about it all morning long. A lot of listeners are frustrated by what he said, don't believe a lot of what was said last night, and found it to be a lot of typical rhetoric. But curious to see what Senator McCain thinks.
Well, the president, I think, always gives a good speech, and his delivery was, I think, quite good in many respects, but the substance of it was extremely disappointing. Apparently, he is tone deaf to the decisions that the voters made in Virginia, New Jersey, and then in Massachusetts on health care. They want us to stop and go back to the beginning and not have this big government takeover of healthcare in America. They want us to stop the spending. The president announced a spending freeze beginning in 2011, which for that year would be about $15 billion. And then immediately segued into the demand for a, quote, jobs bill, i.e. stimulus bill, for this year that would be somewhere between $80 billion and $115 billion, depending on what the specifics are. We've got to stop the spending. The stimulus package failed. They said that if we passed it, that unemployment would be at 8%. As we all know now, it's 10%, and very bad in the state of Arizona. And finally, on the issue of earmarks and pork barrel projects, his solution to it is to move that to the website. What the president should do is say, I'll veto any bill that comes across my desk with an earmark project on it. It's corruption. And so I appreciate his advocacy and support for help for small businesses. I wish we had done that a year ago. And also, finally, people are getting a little bit weary of BIOB. Blame it on Bush. When does that stop?
With the win in Massachusetts,
Yes.
Obviously it's had a huge impact. I mean, so much so that they're acting as if the Democrats are powerless, even though they still have the majority. They only lost one seat. But
overwhelming majorities in both houses.
Yeah. But with that, there's been a complete and total change in tone, and the word pivot's been used a lot, especially in regards to healthcare. What do you think the next move is going to be? Do you think that the Congress is still going to try to work towards the same type of bill, or are they actually going to be open to ideas that you and other members of the GOP in Congress have suggested, and are we going to be starting fresh from this? What do you think is going to happen with health care from here on out?
I thought perhaps the most disingenuous part of the speech was when the president said, if you've got ideas, let's hear from you. Come forward with your ideas. I've spent days, nights, weekends on the floor of the Senate talking about our ideas. Medical malpractice reform. Go across state lines to get the health insurance of your choice. Health savings accounts. Reward for wellness and fitness. Risk pools for people with pre-existing conditions. Change in tax treatment of health care benefits. Look, we have been advocating over and over addressing the problem with health care in America. That's the cost, not the quality. And we obviously have a large philosophical divide between that and the president and the Democrats, who want to have basically a government takeover of health care in America. So when the president said that, my jaw dropped, because we have been advocating taking measures that would fix the cost system. But basically, there's no medical malpractice reform in this bill, okay, John? And we all know that it could be hundreds of billions of dollars in savings because doctors practice defensive medicine for fear of being in court. Yeah. They provide they prescribe additional tests and procedures just to protect themselves. So, look, what the people of Massachusetts said, and in New Jersey and in Virginia, sit down, start over, fix the problems in a bipartisan fashion. The Republicans have not been brought in yet on any issue in a true bipartisan fashion.
When we're looking at, and again, going back to the change that has occurred in the last few weeks, and you just brought up the Massachusetts election again, there is this feeling, and especially here in Arizona, that a lot of voters are looking for, and I hate to use the word change, but they're looking for change. Mm-hmm. And they look at what happened in Massachusetts. We had a situation here locally where State Senator Jonathan Payton threw his hat into the ring for CD8 against Gabrielle Giffords, and there was a bit of a backlash from people who had been supporting some of the newer individuals who weren't already sitting in elected positions. How do you reach out to those individuals who are sitting back and saying, okay, we need some new blood, the midterm elections are coming up? How do you convince those individuals that you are the person that they should continue to support to keep in Washington?
Well, first of all, I take no election for granted. I believe that I have to earn every single vote for re-election. Every election is a new election. There's great discontent out there that is obvious by the Tea Parties and other. Well, the Massachusetts vote is a classic example of it. But I intend to work, as I have ever since I came back from losing, on behalf of the state of Arizona. People are hurting very badly. I've been focusing on jobs, our national defense, our national security, and our bases, preservation and encouragement of expansion there, and jobs and opportunities, and traveling all over the state, doing town hall meetings, and leading the fight against Obamacare. So I don't take anything for granted. I continue to work hard, and I know that people will look at my record, and I hope that my record will convince them that I have fought for them for many, many years.
Every time we promote and having you on the show, Senator John McCain, inevitably I get a phone call from somebody who wants the question asked about illegal immigration. President Barack Obama brought it up in his speech last night, and I had a call yesterday, and I'll give it to you point blank. They said, can you please ask Senator John McCain where he stands on providing amnesty for those that are illegal in the country right now?
Well, I do not support amnesty. The point is, what we need is to continue to secure the border. I've called for National Guard troops on the border, and in the last several years, the dynamics have taken a dramatic turn, and that is the drug cartels and the violence on their side of the border, which threatens to spill over onto our side of the border. It is severe. The Mexican government, its existence is at risk of being taken over by the drug cartels. I've worked hard for us to work more closely with the Mexican government, and they're working hard. It's a threat to their government, but it is a huge corrupting influence, and it's be somewhere between $16 billion and $35 billion a year business, and we are creating the demand. So I believe we are making progress on securing the border. We've got to do a lot more, and we need a temporary legal worker program that is absolutely temporary. And so those are preconditions for any addressing of any comprehensive approach to immigration reform. Secure the border, agreement that there will be a temporary, truly temporary legal worker program in this country.
One more thing before we let you go, Senator John McCain, and I know you released a statement about this earlier, but I'll go ahead and ask you now and get your comments. But Barack Obama last night, during his State of the Union address, President Barack Obama asked Congress to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell in our military. What are your thoughts on that?
Deeply disappointed because there are allegations that this is done for political purposes. We have the best, absolute, most professional, most motivated military than any time in history, with all respect to my generation and others that we revere, particularly our greatest generation. The Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy is working. I talk to military people all the time. They are happy with this particular situation and this policy, and we're in two wars, and to now take a step that might disrupt that efficiency of our military, I think, is a serious mistake.
Senator John McCAIN, as always, thank you for joining the show once again today, and thank you for your service. And
thanks, John. I always enjoy being on your show. It's the truth.
We will we'll talk to you again real soon, sir.
Okay, see you. Bye.
Bye.